back with some Battlefield 3 for you guys today, and I want to introduce you guys to a new series called Battlefield 4 Talk. And in this series of videos, I discuss some of the features that I would like to see in Battlefield 4, and I discuss other Battlefield 4 related topics. And I'm going to be keeping these videos on the short side because I don't want to make them too boring and too long, so let's get right into it. Today's topic is Gunz, spelled with a Z or multiple Z's at the end, because that's how the cool kids spell it these days. But I would like to see some cool guns in the next Battlefield, especially new guns. Weapons we haven't already seen in a Battlefield franchise. They're probably gonna bring back some of the previous guns, like of course the all-time classic M16. Everyone loves that weapon. Everybody knows that. But it would be cool if they put in some H and K variants of the M16 or the M4 because they look so awesome. They're really cool looking weapons. And of course, one of the things I'm looking forward to the most is the customization in Battlefield 4. I want Battlefield 4 to have a really detailed and in-depth customizability feature, like, for example, they had in Medal of Honor Warfighter. I absolutely loved the customizability in that game, and something that was really interesting and that I would like to see being implemented in the next Battlefield was that some of the attachments would actually affect your maneuverability and sort of the general speed at which you moved. And I think it would be really cool if you could modify, for example, your M416, your M16, whatever kind of assault rifle you equip to be sort of a hybrid between an assault rifle and an SMG. And you would be able to move faster than someone with a default assault rifle, but you would be forced to use a different ammo type that puts out a little less damage and doesn't have that good of a muzzle velocity because you just put in another barrel to move faster and gain some of that maneuverability. And I'd really like to see something like that being implemented in the next Battlefield. But let's talk a little bit about the sound design, or the sounds in Battlefield. Personally, I don't really love the Battlefield 3 gun sounds. They don't really sound that punchy. They're not bad. They're good, but they're not the way they were in Bad Company and Bad Company 2. And the people who played those games, they know what I mean. And I remember the way those guns sounded in those games. Now, let me tell you, those were some real punchy gun sounds, especially some of the sniper rifles. And in fact, Bad Company 2, I played that game on console, and I played the shit out of that game. I absolutely loved it. And Bad Company 2, that was the main reason why I bought myself a surround sound system. And I would set that thing loud, like really loud, so loud that when I fired off a tank shell, I felt the fucking bass in my chest. So yeah, it was pretty loud. So please guys, please fix this and make my fucking chest vibrate again. Now, as far as weapon balancing and balancing the classes in general goes, I've given it some thought, and I have to say it's really hard to just come up with something good to balance out the classes correctly. In order to successfully do this, I would have to include like maybe some useful gadgets for the support class or the recon class to use, because right now the only thing I think DICE can do is maybe make some of the LMGs a little more stable to shoot and nerf the recoil on some of the weapons in that class. And as far as the recon class goes, I don't know, to be honest. I'm not really sure what else they can do for this recon class. I know it's the worst class probably in the game, and personally I think that getting rid of the scope glint will help the class out a lot. And now that I mentioned this awfully implemented feature, let me give you my opinion on it. So, the scope glint, this freaking horrible thing that has been handicapping the recon class ever since this game came out. A lot of people were pleased with this because they thought it would sort of get rid of the camper situation in Battlefield 3, but I think this feature has been so poorly implemented. The thing that really bugs me about the scope glint is that you see it everywhere. Even on Metro, when you're underground, you can still see it. It's like there's a fucking flashlight taped onto the barrel. It's ridiculous how bright that thing can be indoors, and I could have lived with it if the scope glint would have been a little more subtle and less visible, so that there would be somewhat of a challenge when you actually spot a sniper. And also, I would have made it just would have made way more sense if the scope glint was only visible if the light shine onto the scope from a specific angle. That would have made a lot more sense. But I'm still not exactly sure why they implemented this horrible feature. Probably, like I said before, to get rid of the camper attitude or mentality on the battlefield. But I don't really care about the campers, to be honest. I don't think you particularly do well as a camper in Battlefield 3, because it's a game in which you're always forced to move and move up to the next objective, except of course when you're trying to defend an MCOM or a flag. And that's the way I feel about the whole situation. But let me know in the comments, what would you like to see being changed about the weapons in the upcoming Battlefield 4, and what would you like to get rid of? That's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, do all the good stuff. I'm Dolce, and I'll see you in the next video.